They definitely Lieutenant Dan the tree by the end of it.
Like a reverse Lieutenant Dan?
Yeah, I guess it would be a reverse. It's just the legs.
Wait, no. Lieutenant Dan didn't start off with stumps and then... Okay.
No.
Yeah, but he has his upper half.
Oh, I gotcha.
He has his upper half.
If it was just his legs they were wheeling around.
The tree was decapitated.
Yeah.
I
was
went
a
on...
reverse human centipede.
Wow, I didn't think there was any way to make a human centipede any worse than throw it into reverse.
Chef Dyke Michael's making food, and he's making comedy too. Thaddeus J. McKee is co-hosting with the guy I mentioned previously. Sauce Boss Zach's on the 1 to 2, so good he calls them 2s and 3s. And as always, there's a guest who is sure to please.
It me. Hey.
Hi, and welcome to the Harder Brunch Podcast. I'm your host, Dyke Michaels, and with me, as always, my co-host, Thaddeus J. McKee.
Co-hosting, man.
That's great. You've thrown a couple curveballs the last couple weeks.
Listen, I got a cease and assist from SNL.
Oh, they didn't. Oh, no.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's nice.
I like co-hosting, man, because it says what you are, you know, and it's just like, and it's in song form.
It's in song form. That's the most important part.
On the 1s and 2s, the Wheels of Steel, the Sauce Boss of Indianapolis, and the Last Woke Dragon. Give it up for Zach Rohn, everybody.
Producing the hits.
All right. I hope we keep the rule of 3s going for this next introduction. Comedian Rafe Williams joins us in studio.
Being a young grandpa. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
You're welcome.
That was nice. Are you a young grandpa?
Yeah. I was 36 when I became a grandfather. So yes, I would call that young.
Whoa. How old were you when you had your kid?
I was 19. He was 15. Because we all got to climb over our dad's records. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a winner.
Yeah. He got me.
Wow. So 36. Because it was crazy. I noticed that a couple years ago, it wasn't quite 36, but I was, I think, 39 or 40, and someone in my class became a grandpa. And I was like,
Yeah.
That's insane.
You know, what's insane to me is there was probably a time that was like a great grandfather. There was like 200 years ago.
Sure.
Like 39. You're like, you
could be 24.
Yeah.
And be a grandpa, probably.
Yeah. It was so. I look at it like that on the grand scheme of things. That's why I have a joke in my act, and I don't want to run my bits, but it was like my family likes to fuck like we're on the Oregon Trail. That's pretty much what we do. We just keep making babies. So that's cool, man. I like being a grandpa more. It's a lot better gig than being a dad because you don't get blamed for everything.
Yeah.
You sound like a grandpa right now. Just saying that.
Yeah. You get like you get perspective.
Yeah.
You know, of like you were too close to the problem with your own kids. We were just like, I can't let you be like me, and it's just like, or I want you to be just like me. That's a lot of. And with the grandkid, you just like, just love them. They'll figure it out. Which is probably how you should be with your own kids.
You may be one of the first guests we've had in studio that has descendants.
Right.
Well, that's how we do it. I'm a Gen X patriarch.
Do you get to do do you have a cool grandpa name? Like, are you referred to by
Peepaw?
your Peepaw?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I kind of did it for the bit.
Yeah.
Which is sad, but true. I like, because I decide, you decide.
Yeah.
You call me Peepaw.
It's the one I hated the most. And I was like, I hate when people call, especially adults. You still call your adult, you're an adult, and you call your grandfather Peepaw.
Yeah.
Kill yourself. Okay?
I had
you gotta age out of it.
I had my grandma was French, and so she was May, which I think is like a French word, kind of like for mommy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I had to knock that shit off when I was like a teenager. Like I feel like
at least
junior
in front
high,
of, you can still call her that at home, but to your friends, you keep like, I'm going to my May's house.
Yeah, to your adult friends.
Is that where Mammy?
No, that's something different.
Is that where May's kids? Dude, it was Bay. Oh,
I feel like grandparents were the kind of your first introduction to like non-binary, right? Because like you usually look at your grandparents as like not really having a gender, and they always have like wacky, nicknames, like peepaw num nums, or
I've always thought of my grandpa as a guy.
Yeah.
I just think they just kind of merged together to one thing of just like
they're definitely stripped of their sexuality.
Yes, that's what I was going for.
In a way that your parents aren't.
Well, you still
more so. Okay,
you're aware.
No, this smart ass, he's got jokes. He's got jokes.
I just
Let me ask you this question, Zach. Gun to your head, you have to watch your parents have sex, or you have to watch your grandparents have sex.
Oof.
Well, I mean, my grandparents are dead, so
No, they're back alive for the
back alive for the purpose of this bit.
Hey, let's go. Let's say it at the same time. I think we both are on the same page. 1, 2, 3.
Neither.
Grandparents.
Well,
What'd you say?
No,
screw
I say
you.
neither.
The fact that you didn't go on one or the other, that you broke the rule.
What'd you say?
I said grandparents.
Me too.
Yeah.
You'd rather
You're
watch
right.
your grandparents.
I mean, they're on their way out, dude. I want my grandpa to get a nut. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to suck either way.
Is your grandpa alive?
No, he died a year or two ago.
Oh, I'm sorry for bringing that up.
That's okay. That's what grandparents do.
It's a 50-50
It
shot.
wasn't because you walked into him having sex.
kill him.
He's like, hey, get out of here.
He's cool. My grandma's alive.
So wait,
trying to hook her up.
there was a time when he was a great grandpa. Then
Yeah, and I mean, he was a great. He got to have it. He got to have the great.
Ooh, that's great.
It's crazy in this day and age.
It is
You know
a
what
yeah,
I mean?
that's some for real having descendants right there.
Yeah.
I got them on deck. Rafe, I missed a lot of the one of the fun thing, or not one of the things I miss out on. I'm cooking a lot of times, so I miss a lot of the
No, I felt bad.
the chatter ahead of time. So, I know you're a traveling comedian. I know you just headlined at Helium Comedy Club in Indianapolis this weekend.
Yep.
But like, kind of, what was your kind of like origin story? I don't know anything about it. Where are you from?
So I grew up in Southern Illinois in a very rural. It was in a town called Dowell, Illinois, with 500 people in it. It was spelled Dowell, do well, which was ironic because no one was. And so I had a really small town. I was like, here's the thing about Illinois. Okay, when you tell people you're from Illinois, they go Chicago.
Yeah.
And I have to remind them there's this giant vestigial tail
The whole other
that
part of
hangs
state.
off the ass of Chicago that is the state of Illinois. And as you travel south, it gets more and more impoverished and becomes farm country, coal mining country, and there's no coal mines anymore because of Clean Coal Act. Thanks a lot, Nixon. I don't know who did it. My great-great-grandpa is probably still bitching about it. But, so it's a lot more like Northern Kentucky in terms of like ideology.
We're from Indiana. We're
You
well
get it.
aware of what.
You get it. Yeah, it's not much different here. So I grew up there, but I've lived in St. Louis for 20 years.
Okay,
because
cool.
you had to move to the city to do comedy was not even a thing. I talked about it at brunch. Like I remember asking our drama department had the budget of approximately the cost of like a king size Butterfinger. Do you know what I mean? Like we did Little Shop of Horrors, then we did Grease. And then we did Little Shop of Horrors the next year. It was like we had props to do 2 plays. Yeah. And every other year, somebody else got to be Steve Martin's dentist. You know what I mean? It was just kind of...
How many people in your like graduating class?
26.
What?
Oh, wow.
26. There were 100 and... Started with 40. So that shows you the attrition rate.
A lot of people got married.
A lot of people got jobs. See why I'm a young grandpa, right?
Yeah,
It makes sense.
Was there like just 13 couples?
Yeah, dude, shallow dating pool. Which that's a weird thing too.
Everybody is Eskimo brothers.
Yeah, or like some societal rules just had to be bent because of the, you know what I mean?
Cousins?
Not cousins, not those type of societal rules, but well, probably. I do have cousin brothers in my family, which is fucked up. This is a true story.
What?
I got cousins that are brothers, man, and it's like it's not their fault. They're cool guys. Both 2 of my aunts both wanted to fuck the same guy. They did it. They both had kids. So they're cousins and they're brothers and nice guys, it's just, it is what it is. They come, nobody made a big deal about it.
Brothers and the cousins.
No,
Honestly, I don't know if they would
they're
have
cousins and they're brothers and they're cousins and they're brothers. Give us a hug.
I feel like they'd have some type of telepathy, like they could speak to each other, like because like
Cousin brother powers activate.
yeah, they got more.
Form of neglect, shape of therapy. But they're both really cool guys, and it was just like that's funny because it's like we didn't talk. we knew it. Everybody knew it, but it wasn't like a thing we dwelled on. It was just like, hey, that guy ran through a couple of my aunts. You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's a small world we're living in.
So was your goal to graduate high school and then just get the hell out and go to the big city?
Yeah, I was
or-
always yes. I think I tried on. Here's what's weird about growing up in a rural area like that. You guys may relate to this. Is like you kind of, there are societal expectations that get put on you, especially in, male blue collar. It's like I wrote a letter in 3rd grade when they do that thing where they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they make you open it at the end of the year to see if you've changed your mind over the course of a year. Like you wanted to be a firefighter, but we had a forest ranger come to the school and I wrote comedian.
Oh, wow.
And that
In 3rd grade?
In 3rd grade. And it was always the thing I felt. It sounds corny, and it is, but it's like, I do feel like it can be a calling. The same way people say they get called to the priesthood. Now, do I think that we're modern day philosophers? No, we're mall clowns, but it still can be a calling. And I think I just held on to that, but I always felt like there was some obligation to like stay where you're at. I mean, if you get married at like 23 where I'm at, they just assumed you were defective. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so normal for people like not to get married or get married well into their 30s.
Oh, yeah.
Now, but like in a rural area, it's like you're 23 and unmarried.
Yeah, there's a problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
Old maid.
Whoa. Yeah, confirmed bachelor.
Right.
But the societal thing I was talking about was like, when you go up in a place that small, like it wasn't weird or uncommon for like a 20-year-old dude to be at a high school party or a girl because it was like that was your social group, and then you graduate and you don't go to college.
Yeah.
Who you're supposed to hang out with. You know what I mean? They were like, parents were cool with it. There would be like people that was like, my cousin married the girl. We gave him a plaque for going to the most high school dances as a joke. Because he like started dating a freshman when he was a senior. They're married and have 3 kids. But that meant at some point he was like a 21-year-old at prom.
Well, even like
you know what I'm saying?
The movie
That's crazy.
Varsity Blues was like Varsity Blues has it where it's almost like a trope, like the guy that comes, he still got his Letterman jacket on. He graduated 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But he's still hanging out. Like that wasn't so unheard of.
Yeah.
Like they were.
It really wasn't.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like even frowned upon. And it went both ways. There were like older girls who dated younger guys. It was just like now I would be like,
Well, we had teachers date some of the students.
oh yeah, there's a creepy teacher at every school.
Yeah. So.
We had Grandpa Joe. He used to come by.
Hey, it's Grandpa Joe.
He was not a young grandpa though. He was 60.
I'm not going to be able to moonwalk this year, kids.
What was his deal?
No, I just made that up.
Oh, I was like,
He was only 37.
I mean, that does sound like something a school with a small budget would have an assembly for. But like, we got an entertainer here. It's Grandpa Joe. Like, what does he do? And he's like, he's a grandpa.
So when do you get out? What does that look like?
So
When do you get out? When did you get free?
I fell into the trope of like sports. So I played college football and baseball at a college in central Illinois called Eureka College, where Ronald Reagan went to college.
Oh, wow.
But not for the good stuff. It was like where he went to theater, undergrad, and they beat it to death. It was like, this is the Ronald Reagan oak tree. This is the Ronald Reagan museum. This is the Ronald Reagan blade of grass that we preserved. Everything was Ronald Reagan. And the funny thing about that school is it was a Christian school in a dry town. They were very but their mascot was the Red Devils, which is hilarious to me. And they didn't like divorce, and Reagan was married before he married Nancy. And she divorced his first wife and married Nancy Reagan. And they were never nice to her because they didn't like divorce. They were like fundamentalist Christian type founders of the school. And he had left them a fuck ton of money. But he got phoebed out. He got Alzheimer's. And Nancy got control of the finances, and they'd already they had this huge complex. They had already spent the money in their minds.
She turned it off. She turned the funds off.
Gave him $300,000. Cut it to gave him nothing. And I was like,
oh, they messed up.
Hey, that's what you get for your Christian behavior. You know what I mean? Like, he treated her like shit, and they came back and bit you in the ass. So I went there, and then I got my girlfriend pregnant beginning of sophomore year. And that tends to end a lot of college sports careers.
Yeah, can I ask you what position you played?
Oh, I thought you were going to...
Not what position you got her pregnant in.
Believe it or not, I played wideout.
You played missionary?
Everyone assumes linebacker because of my current build.
Yeah.
I played like a slot receiver.
Okay.
Like I was I'm 6'1". At that time, I was like 210. I was
Okay.
pretty big. Like I could come in and play tight end, but I would move out in the slot
Yeah.
and catch passes. So it's never anyone's first guess. And I played center field.
Ever get a concussion?
I think in high school I had one, but we didn't know. I just like
Yeah. Well,
I
sprinkle
remember
some dirt
like,
on it. Get back out there.
I like passed out on the football field one time. I just
Yeah.
remember like I got hit, my head went to the ground. I got up and kind of like fell down, and then went out for like 2 plays and just went back in. That was the 90s, dude. They were just like,
it wasn't even
"Eh."
a thought. Yeah.
Yeah, they just put you back in.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a study on how many comedians have gotten concussions at a certain point. But
I have. I would say yes to that. At least one.
okay, cool.
So then I moved home, and then I just bounced around, dude, and like tried to work it out with mom. Went in the Army because that's what you do, to pay for it, to try to figure out a way to go to college. Came home. From that, we split up.
I like that every time you said that's what you do has not been what I've done.
Well, where I'm from, that's like, dude, that's what the Army is crazy too, because it's just like they take advantage of poor kids, man.
Yeah.
It's all the enlisted Army is 80%. It was like poor white kids from Tallahatchie, Tennessee, and inner city youth trying to escape. You know what I mean? It was like a blending of those cultures, which was good.
Yeah.
I think it was good to like, be exposed to different cultures and like build empathy and things like that. But it was like they were definitely like recruiters going into poor high schools, offering this like, you want to go to college? Go die for your country, right? And then it's just like, I was like, okay, sounds good.
Well, in the 90s,
And macho shit.
like the late 90s was a pretty safe time to join the Army.
I was perfect, dude. I was in between the Gulf Wars. I never did anything. I'm not. I hate when people are like, "Thank you for your service," and I'm like, "Yeah, I kept I kept Fort Sill, Oklahoma, pretty fucking safe."
I bet more so like as a sign up thing. Like, yeah, there's nothing going on right now. Like,
Yeah. No, I'm saying like I was lucky in that way. And then I came home, was in the National Guard, bounced around jobs, went to school forever, and then I kind of like drinking got away from me at some point, like later in my life. I was like the real van. It took me like 7 years to get through undergrad. Changed my major like 37 times, and then that's when I moved to St. Louis to do grad school, and then I got sobered up and like kind of. It was such a different experience. Like I did really well in grad school.
Yeah.
Got my graduate degree. Started doing comedy.
What's your degree in?
Healthcare admin.
Okay.
And I wish I could give it back and just square the debt. I wish there was a buyback program. I don't need 10 grand. What I need is you to buy this piece of paper back from me.
Yes.
I won't put it on any resume for my comedy career.
I won't even try it.
And I'm cool. I'm out of debt.
I will never help anyone. I promise.
Yeah. So I know this has been a long-winded story, but I didn't start comedy until I was 33. So it was like there was a long time between third grade and 33 where it was like I kind of had a shit or get off the pot moment. Like I knew I always wanted to do it, but I got a DUI and then I couldn't drive for like 2 years. I'm like, well, I can't start comedy because I can't drive, so I guess I'll just keep drinking. And then a second DUI, and then I'm like, fuck, that sucks. Poor me, And then it's like eventually, and I said this at brunch, we were talking about one of the other comics is 4 years sober, and I had a really good, sometimes you got to hear a truth from a friend that you don't want to hear in the moment. And he was like, this has been my best friend for a long time, and he came up and we were hanging out in a bar, obviously, and he was like, I think you could be the funniest guy on the planet, and you're going to settle to be the funniest guy in the bar. And that makes me sad for my friend. And I was like, fuck you, man. Like in that moment.
Yeah.
That sucked to hear, but like it really kicked me in the ass. That and a couple, just the fact that I was like, this is not good for me, my health, or my family. And then I sobered up, and I dove in head first, man. And I started going to mics, doing Toastmasters, got into improv because I had really bad stage fright. I don't know if you guys ever dealt with that when you started. Like some people seem like they don't have it. I had crippling stage fright when I started.
For how long?
First year, easy, especially because you're bombing, and that's not reinforcing confidence.
Yeah.
I wasn't like awesome I got laughs, but I bombed a lot too because I was trying new stuff out. There's
at 33.
Yeah.
And there's like a younger group there too watching, and
Yes.
you have some older people.
18-year-olds,
Yeah.
But I think that was a benefit, and Hannah and I talked about that upstairs at brunch too, dude. Like, How old were you guys when you started?
I was real late. I started at 37.
Okay, cool.
28.
All right, nice.
Oh, I'm not a comedian.
So you could start today.
Yeah, I could start today.
How old were you, buddy? 28. So we're all late bloomers in comedy terms, right? In a very ageist business. But I think it made me work harder because I knew I did not have fuck around time. I had already taken my retirement. I always say I took my retirement early. I'm going to die working because I took 10 years and I fucking partied.
Yeah.
Like, when I've heard young comics now, because I'm like the sober guy in our scene, I was like, dude, we partied. Like, I know you don't party, man, but like last night I had like 4 drinks and like I ate some shrooms. I'm like, oh, cool. Well, when you're putting ecstasy up your ass in Panama Beach so you can roll harder, you can talk to me, okay? But until like you don't know who you're talking to right now. I'm a psychopath. You know this me. You don't know the prior. You don't know Mr. Hyde. He lives inside me. The secret is I'm always angry. You know, it's like
I'm always high.
Yeah.
I always have ecstasy up my butt.
yeah, I have Molly in my ass right now. I pull those little Pilot's red ripcords and it just puts 2 grams of Molly right into my fucking anal cavity.
Kids these days don't
You're
know.
all getting back rubs.
Kids these days don't know nothing about cramming, do they?
Oh, you guys put vodka on tampons? Pussies!
You're all getting back rubs.
So, yeah, man, it was like, I think the benefit of that was you have a deep well to draw from because I've had a life.
Yeah.
And whether it was a good life, probably not, but that is good for comedy. I have a lot of mistakes that I can. So when I do
a lot of time to
autobiographical,
reflect on them, you know.
yeah, and like sometimes when you start comedy young, that's your life. That's all you know. So like,
Yeah.
and we've all been to mics, dude, and like it's primarily men
Jacking
it's
off,
usually
jacking off jokes.
off,
Wait.
chasing pussy, you know, like
Talking about jacking off or actually jacking off?
but a little of both.
What kind of open
like-
mics are you going to?
yeah,
I'm going to the clean ones.
but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I feel
Tinder's
like
weird.
exactly, and I was like, there are pros and cons. The cons is I started very late in an ageist business, and I knew I had to bust my ass because you turn 50, it's going to be tougher. But there's exceptions to every rule. Rodney Dangerfield was like in his mid 50s when he made. Look, you have to be delusional to be a comic anyway, because the chances of being Dave Chappelle are so slim. But, you know, I saw an interview with him where he talked to his dad, and he's like, his dad didn't want him to do it. And his dad was a teacher, and he's like, well, what do you consider success? How much do you make a year? He's like, $40,000. Like, if I make $40,000 as a comedian, would you consider me a success? And he said his dad never said another word about it. So I think of it like that, too. I'm like, you do always want to be progressing, but it's also like 5 years ago, me would be like, oh, dude, you headlined Helium this weekend? It's fucking dope.
Yeah.
Today, me's like, hey, I didn't draw enough people. You know what I mean? Like, I hope I can headline the big room soon. But it's like, those things will come if you just keep working hard and let go of how it's going to happen. And I think having, like, a deeper well to draw from and being able, and knowing that you're up against the clock made me work hard. And so I think there's benefits to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was kind of sorry, that was a very long story.
No, that's
but like,
great.
that's kind of how I got into comedy, and that's how I approach it. I have a blue collar mentality, not like you ever put a spit cup on the ironing board? You might be from Southern Illinois. It's not like that, but it's like blue collar in terms of like lunch pail.
Yeah.
I know that I got to work at it. And I just take that mentality where I'm just like, just do the work, keep your head down, be funny, and be nice to people. Because kindness is the best currency in our business anyway, dude. I don't care what anybody says.
When did you go like full time?
About 5 years ago, maybe 4. I mean, I lose track with COVID.
Sure.
But I got into a position where about the time, it was like, so 2014, 2015, I got my grad degree. And that's about the time I started getting paid to do comedy. Now, it wasn't great. And I was managing a bar, like a blues bar. I also got sober in a bar, which was a fun experience.
Wait, how does that happen?
Honestly, dude, it's easier than you think because I get to see the guy I don't want to be once a week. The guy at closing time that's drunk, so drunk that he thinks he's like a fucking Don Juan.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh man, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
He's like thinks he's killing it, and I'm like, I don't ever have to be that guy again. I don't ever have to be the drunkest guy in the bar again that everyone's like, ugh. somebody get that guy an Uber. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So I got like nice little reinforcements. But that was a good career. I think all comedians should be servers or bartenders because it is an easy career to transition out of into full-time comedy. Because you can like make decent money working short hours. And as you start making money doing comedy, you can be like, I only want to work 2 or 3 shifts a week.
Yeah.
In most restaurants, everybody's trying to make money. You can also get shifts picked up really easy. So when you get a show out of town, you're like, hey, I got a last minute show in bumfuck Missouri, but they're going to pay me $75 and half a sandwich. And they're like, you want my shift? And they're like, yeah, I'll take it. And then you can go do those shows. So I kind of slowly transitioned out. And I would say by 2016, 2017-ish, I was making enough money to live. And I also live in St. Louis, which is cheap. I don't know what the
Indy's a fairly inexpensive city.
Yeah, St. Louis is like one of the best major cities. A lot of like young professionals when they graduate move to St. Louis because the cost of living is so reasonable.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it in New York. I couldn't have done it in LA. I still couldn't. If I moved there, I would like blow through my savings so fast that I'd be like, guess I'm walking dogs again. So I also got really good at other things to supplement. So I'd write commercials. I make a lot of extra money doing freelance stuff, and that helped, like working on commercials or, Purina. And then you get a reputation of being good at that, and you can, and because we're comedians, the hardest thing is knowing our worth.
Yeah.
How'd
How'd you get into that, into writing commercials?
Do you know,
You
dude?
said for Purina? Are you allowed to say who it was?
Yeah, I was one for Purina, and then I wrote like this last year, COVID, I had a really good year in COVID, and I felt bad about it because I got Energizer. We pitched Energizer, which is like $1 billion company. They wanted to make their YouTube cool, and I pitched them like, what if we wrote a 90s sitcom? And the pitch was like a lady puts Energizer batteries into her remote. She gets sucked inside of her TV into a 90s sitcom. And they greenlit it, and we got to shoot, like, I wrote 6 episodes of a sitcom, and I got to shoot it. I got to play Uncle Jimmy, who was like kind of Jesse and Joey, like a fat Elvis, like both uncles from Full House rolled into one character.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I'll do that too. I'll write myself in. Every commercial, there'll be like 40-year-old blue collar guy. And I'll just be like, I'm just spitballing here, but I could do it. And then you're like, hey. So then you get extra money
For being in the commercial.
So I get paid to write it, and then I get paid as an
on
actor,
both ends,
and then I get
Dude.
something for my reel, and I know it's funny because I wrote it.
Yeah.
You jailbroke the game, man. That's dope.
So that's kind of that helped immensely being able to go full time because those big paydays, because those are $1 billion corporations that they got fuck you money, dude. And it was so hard for me to learn that, to be like, oh God, if I ask them for this much money, they're gonna tell me I'm a piece of shit. And I send an email that I'm like, gulp, $5,000 to do this project, and they're just like, sounds good, send us an invoice. Not even like no pushback. Whereas as comics, we're used to being like, hey man, can you like go half with me on gas money? You know? It's like you're taught to just undervalue yourself,
Yeah.
and sometimes you need the experience, and sometimes you got to eat the bullet. And there's still times, dude, like I'll go to Buffalo to do a feature weekend, and I break even, but I can afford to do that, and then I get to open for Colin Quinn or somebody, and that's a cool experience. I may not make any money, but I've supplemented that. That's what I use commercial work for. Is I'm like, I'll do these commercials. Are they artistically rewarding? No. Yeah. Sometimes I'm writing a tire commercial for like a local tire business, but it finances those break-even weekends that are going to make me a better comic, help me connect with people that can help me later on down the line.
Absolutely. I just learned what a stage was in cooking. Am I saying stage?
Woo!
And so I just learned what that was. Like, and people just go and watch, and like you go and watch and you don't get paid. Yeah, you just don't help out. But like that's the same thing as within the food industry. Like if you're just like working with Colin Quinn for less money, it's still a good experience, and you're going to be picking it up. So
yeah, and if you're in the room and you're paying attention, you're going to learn something.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Gen Z can't stop raving about the Harder Brunch Patreon.
Patreon.com/Harder Brunch slaps.
No cap, the Harder Brunch Podcast is bussin' on God.
Move over, Boomer. Gen Z's here to talk to you about the Harder Brunch Patreon.
Harder Brunch Podcast on Patreon, $3 a month, low-key is steal.
The Harder Brunch Podcast deadass has me bricked up every day.
Listen to these all totally real testimonials.
No, like I'm getting paid to do this. Don't worry. Yeah. No, you think I do this for free? No.
The Harder Brunch Podcast deadass slaps. Sound younger. The Harder Brunch Podcast deadass slaps.
Just go to patreon.com/Harder Brunch.
The Patreon After Brunch podcast hits different. That shit makes you feel shit.
Welcome back to the Harder Brunch Podcast. We're talking to comedian Rafe Williams. Let's get into the food, man. We do have different themes here, and I got to tell you because we've never met before today,
Right.
So usually I kind of tag it to someone, and I was like looking at some of your stuff online, and literally my first idea was like, well, he's from Southern Illinois, and I just Googled the cuisine of Southern Illinois.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything I felt like serving to you.
Yeah.
For
What was it? I'm curious.
just like a lot of boiled meats. No, it was.
Was it really?
No, there was literally some stuff on there I'd never heard of before.
Fried bologna.
It was.
Is there a horseshoe?
What's a horseshoe?
Have you ever heard of a horseshoe?
Yeah. That's a Springfield thing.
Oh, okay.
Originally in Springfield. It is Illinois, though.
I lived in Peoria for a while.
I didn't know it was like not a thing nationwide.
Yeah, we served them at a restaurant. It's like an open face sandwich with like fries all over it.
And it's smothered in like cheese and or gravy.
Why do they call it a horseshoe? Because of when horses step on poop?
Yes.
And it gets in the hooves, and that looks like fries and and beans and jalapenos.
Beans. There's no beans on it.
Pink cookies.
Okay.
It was the number one thing that came out. Sugar cookies with pink icing.
Oh, okay.
Murfreesboro barbecue.
Murfreesboro, it does. Bill Clinton used to fly barbecue from Murfreesboro to the White House.
So is that just one barbecue place?
Yeah, it was a place called 17th Street Bar and Grill. He loved it so much. It does have it is famous. It's a weird thing, but it is true.
I wasn't sure if it was like a style of barbecue or
No,
something.
it's not. It was like a
it's
place.
Like one specific
It was a
place.
specific place that did barbecue.
Is that what they kind of
he got it
parodied
on the
on
campaign trail, and he loved it so much he flew it into the White House.
Like House of Cards that did that? Like he always went to a barbecue place. I wonder if that's where they were kind of
Could have
parodying
been.
it from.
It very well could have been because he literally. There were a couple times that like literally Air Force 2, like the helicopter,
Stopped him for BBQ.
would come and pick up like multiple pounds of barbecue and fly it to DC.
I don't.
For Bill Clinton.
Anything food related or sex related with Bill Clinton, I believe.
But then again, he was like the McDonald's president.
Yeah.
So what? Yeah. I don't know. What does that tell you about his taste palette? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Golconda shrimp. Do you know what that is?
Golconda's a town. I just feel like they put towns in front of food. This is bullshit is what this is.
Golconda sounds like a two-headed snake.
No, Golconda's just like an area of Southern Illinois. That'd be like Dal ham. And I'm like, yeah, it's just ham served in that town.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you didn't make those things.
So we didn't go that way, and then we were just. So I have a list of like different themes, like kind of like random themes, and we were going through. Nothing really felt right, and then Zach had the idea. He was like, "What if we do like kids' food?" Which I had to remind him we've already done. That was on the list. So then we were bouncing around the idea of that, and then I was like, well, "What about like children's books?" Because that's slightly different, and it makes you think a little bit. It kind of jars the creative process up a little bit. And so we landed on some children's books. Zach sold green eggs and ham right off the bat.
Yeah, he said that first.
Yeah, he got that real quick. And so then that made it a little bit harder for me to pick. But go and tell about your green eggs and ham dish, because it was great.
So the ham, I made a parsley oil, so it was all green, and then I mixed that into the ham when I was sautéing it. I put a fried egg on there, and then I made a green queso with the with that oil, and then I poured that over the egg, and there was a hash brown under it too.
So good.
So amazing. Everything was great. Like, this is a no joke. Like, this brunch is not to be fucked with. I just want to put that out there. I know I said I gave you a lot of high praise off mic, and I'm no Natalie Cuomo. I'm not gonna suck you fucking guys out. All right, it was a really amazing brunch. I was saying upstairs, I was like, between dishes, I longed for the previous dish.
Nice.
only to fall more in love with the next dish. I felt like a relationship where you're like, I was just learning to be a better man for this green eggs and ham.
Yeah.
Oh, green eggs and ham's gone. I was just learning to be a better man for these Peter Pan pancakes. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I went through all the grief.
Yeah.
I processed the loss, and then I moved on to a happier time as each course progressed. It was amazing.
That is awesome.
Well, we did start off with the Giving Tree, which is a famous apple tree story, which was just apple and sausage hand pies.
Why did you choose sausage for the Giving Tree?
So, well, I chose apple
What are you
for
gonna
the
give it to
Giving
her
Tree.
Okay, then what does the sausage represent?
And the hand pie part of it.
And the ham pie-
Yeah.
It was just the apple, really. It was mainly just the apple.
I thought the boy was the sausage.
He was the sausage. He acted like a real pig. No,
Yeah.
No, I was just like, I wanted the apple to be like the main thing, but I was trying to get away with something that would have been like a dessert. I didn't want to, because a lot of times when you put apples and stuff, it
was tremendous.
Yeah, so I wanted something that was going to be like a savory.
It was great.
Dish with apples. So then that's when the sausage came.
I put one in my pocket.
That was my favorite thing we had today, and my least favorite kids book.
Yeah.
So it straddled both sides of the spectrum.
Well, what happens at the end? Can we spoil that?
Well, yeah, spoiler alert of this 40-year-old book.
Way older.
If you have not, if you never,
They definitely Lieutenant Dan the tree by the end of it.
Like a reverse Lieutenant Dan?
Yeah, I guess it would be a reverse. It's just the legs.
Wait, no, Lieutenant Dan didn't start off with stumps and then. Okay.
No.
Yeah, but he has his upper half.
Oh, I
Yeah.
gotcha.
He has his upper half.
If it was just his legs they were wheeling
The
around.
tree was decapitated.
Yeah.
I
It was
went
a
on.
reverse human centipede.
Wow, I didn't think there was any way to make a human centipede any worse than throw it into reverse. Wow.
It's dark. It's a weird
quick break. After that.
We were talking upstairs about like what a bummer the Giving Tree is, like
Very much
for
so,
kids. And we kind of went down a rabbit hole of like bummer children's books.
I'm a big fan of all Shel Silverstein's poetry. Like I've got like 3 of his volumes, and I read them to my kid regularly. They're uplifting, they're fun, they're really creative. And the Giving Tree, I think, is just so depressing. Mm-hmm. Like I don't understand why it has to be all giving until you're dead.
Yeah. I feel like the Giving Tree was written specifically for like overbearing mothers to read to their children. It's just like the whole concept of the book is just like, I am this saint who gives and gives, and you suck me. And you suck from mommy's teat until I wither and die. But I'll die for you, baby. I'll die for you. And it's just like, I remember like even as a kid being like, am I killing my mom? And I think like, an overbearing mother's probably like, I can't wait to read this to my kid. You know what I mean?
I guess I'll just be a stump for the rest of my life.
Yeah, dude, that's coming up in conversation. You said it's a manipulative book. Kind of.
It is. Yeah, it is.
And how many times does that really get read to a child? Like, hey, can you pick the Giving Tree again?
I mean, I remember it was pretty popular. Like
But,
it's
like-
been popular for a long time.
Your
But
mom
is
read
it
that to
popular
your mom?
because of the kids want it, or is it popular because the parents want to read it to them?
I think you cracked the code there.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of kids. You're right. There's not a lot of kids clamoring for the Giving Tree.
that one,
I'll tell you something.
no.
If there was, why isn't there Pixar's Giving Tree? They've made everything.
Yeah.
They're remaking The Little Mermaid. They're remaking kids' movies. No one's touched the Giving Tree. No one.
I want to see Pixar's The Velveteen Rabbit.
Oh, my word.
Speaking of, it's just, like Pixar movies start with the bummer and then they get more uplifting towards the end.
Yeah.
I say, what if we start with the bummer and then just go full skid, turn into the skid of all bummer.
Full Skid Row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never gets happier.
Maybe the Velveteen Rabbit. We start when he's discarded and burned for being polluted with cholera. Was that what it was?
Like with a voiceover, you're probably wondering how I got in this fire.
Yeah, they're playing like Bob O'Reilly's playing in the background, like Teenage Wasteland.
Flashback 3 months earlier.
You're probably wondering how I ended up here. He's got like a button hanging out of his eye. His fucking fur is charred. One ear is like burnt to a crisp.
That might actually slap. That might actually be a really good show.
Let's pitch this movie right now to Pixar. This is where we start, okay? Fuck the backstory. Velveteen Rabbit is out on his own. What does he do? He goes to school. He becomes a scientist. He cures cholera. He comes up with a vaccine.
He's hated by the community.
It's just a Velveteen Rabbit merged with Dr. Fauci.
The Velveteen Fauci.
Follow the science, Velveteen.
He's just trying to convince other rabbits to keep their mask on. No, thanks, dude.
Now, I got to say, this was a bit of a cheat because this is not a story that I grew up with, but I just know it from popular culture. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I have seen the movie, but this isn't like a book that I read growing up. Is it a newer book?
I think it is.
No. Well, for me, I was a child when my mom read it. Yeah, my mom would read it to me.
Yeah, I would be weird if you were an adult when your mom read it to you.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'm not saying if that does or still happens.
I mean, it must.
It must, by the way you answered.
I mean, I read a article about like a guy, like a 14-year-old that was like still breastfeeding, and he breastfed in line at an AMC movie theater or something like that. Like they were waiting to get tickets.
Nice.
And I'm like, dude, if you can get into a PG-13 movie without your parent, maybe you don't need to suck tit in line. Do you know what I mean? But
I feel like there's always somebody that's like they're like pushing the line so much that they're waiting for someone to say something, right? It's just like, oh, I can't breastfeed my middle-aged son in public. Are you gonna say something?
Yeah.
It's like, no, man, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
But Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. No, it was a meatball. It was a mortadella meatball carbonara. I was gonna make meatball sandwiches at first, and then I was like, yeah, I don't know. I wanted the pasta part of it.
Yeah, the pasta represented the cloud to me. I thought that was a really clever.
It's creamy.
Well, and even the way the meatball sat on top of it, it was almost like a little cumulus cloud of flavor.
That was all done intentionally.
I'm sure it was. Can you tell me, as a layman, what mortadella meatball? What does that mean?
It's fancy bologna.
Okay.
Oh, that's why it tasted like that. And that's a good thing.
It was good. It was like it had a good flavor.
So like I feel like it's also had balsamic vinegar in it, which kind of changes the flavor profile a little bit. Normally, if you get a slice of mortadella, like if you just got like a deli slice of it, it tastes like the fanciest bologna you've ever had. It tastes like gourmet bologna.
Okay.
But the meatball itself did not necessarily taste like that. It was very kind of light, I guess. Yeah. On mortadella, we were talking about that earlier about the mortadella. It was like, oh, I thought this was going to be like a bologna meatball. Bologna ball. And then the Peter Pan French toast, which I guess got lost in translation on why it was this connection to Peter Pan.
Now I will say I really I like what he said. Peter pancakes. You could have gone with pancakes with the peanut butter on there, and then the Peter pancakes would have.
I'm an idiot.
I think that would have been.
Forgot what I even had. I was so coming so hard from all the good taste in my mouth. They were great. It was great. What kind of bread was that?
It was just French. It was just French bread.
It was it felt like a slice of a loaf of French bread, right?
Yeah,
yeah. That was a cool twist I've never had.
I was gonna get I was kind of inspired by The Rock's cheat day meals. If you Google The Rock's cheat day meals, it literally is just like. And The Rock takes his own food into restaurants and goes, "Can you heat that up?" and they're like, "Yeah, of course, we'll do anything, Rock." But his cheat day thing, literally, is there's multiple pictures of different versions of it. Is like him with what appears, it looks like a half of a loaf of bread, right? It's a half of a full loaf of bread just cut in half, and then just like slathered with peanut butter.
Yeah,
and it's just like but it's French toast. It's just like peanut butter French toast, but it looks like I wouldn't want to eat it. Like it looks like enough for like 5 people to eat. You know,
right. He goes all in,
and he goes all in with it, and it's.
It'd be funny if The Rock was getting into like the same foods my dad liked. You know, he's getting to that age. I think there's foods you age into. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
There's stuff you think is gross when you're a kid. Mm-hmm. Like I'm all about blue cheese crumbles. I'm all about it. I would have rather died as a kid than eat blue cheese. And now I think it's like, I don't know if life beats you down and there's nothing left and you're like, you know what? There's nothing left to excite me. I guess I'll eat this cheese that tastes like dirty feet, you know? And it's my dad. I remember dad foods growing up. Like my dad ate like a hobo, dude. And I couldn't figure out if it was just
He ate a whole hobo.
Yeah, I feel like
I saw him kill a man in an alley.
Here's my theory. Dads get so tired of their food getting eaten that they just eat foods nobody wants.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So like I remember like he yeah, are you with me a little bit?
No, my fiance's dad literally bought the chips that nobody liked, including him, so they wouldn't eat them.
Yeah, I think it's a thing. I think my dad used to eat, my dad used to eat sardines out of the can like a Little Rascals fucking.
That's my fucking favorite.
He'd like roll. It had the roll down, and
Yeah.
he would like put mustard on them and eat them out of the can. And I was like, ugh, how poor are we?
I love sardines, and it offends everybody. Nobody likes to watch you eat them out of the can.
No one, and
Nope.
it's like such a gross food. And it's like he had pickle loaf
Oh yeah.
or olive loaf. Do you remember that?
Pickle loaf is a like
What the
that
fuck is that, dude?
That's a real blue collar.
You know, it's like they had a meeting at the bologna factory, and they were like, "Gather around, boys. Listen, how do we make bologna less appealing?" And one guy's like, "What if we took a hole punch and we punch a bunch of holes in it and fill it with a bunch of unidentifiable peppers?" And I was like, "God damn it, you're a Mike, you're the new foreman." It's like, who decided to make that gross shit? Oh, we also make it square. You know, like, that's disgusting. Now it's not even round. It doesn't even feel like a processed meat.
So in the bologna multiverse, like the bologna spectrum,
Dude.
mortadella would be on one end,
Yeah.
and pickle loaf
That's
is on the
spider
other
pig.
end.
Yeah, that's spider pig. It's fucking gross.
Pickle loaf is spider.
Nobody clamoring for that movie. And dude, the other thing he ate. You ever see them orange circus peanut candies that you see in every gas station for like 50 cents?
Why?
And you're like, who the fuck eats
Who's doing
this
this?
shit?
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like peanuts. Doesn't taste like oranges.
Yeah.
Does taste like drywall.
Yeah.
My dad would fucking house those things, dude. And I'm just like,
Why?
I think it was just because he's like, they're not going to ask me for any. The kids won't ask. I never wanted one. One time I took one bite and was like, yeah, those are for you. Never saw him eat a sardine like, maybe today's the day. I'm just like, God damn, dude, get your shit together.
That would be a great like whole branding, like dad food, you know, like food nobody wants but you.
Could you make pickle loaf like casserole good?
I mean, I could, yes, probably, but I'm like,
I've never had
challenge.
pickle loaf, but I think I would like it.
pickle loaf. I mean, it's
It actually sounds good to me.
pickle loaf is
like Spam?
is just
I
like
love
a
Spam.
cheaper mortadella. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Pickle loaf salad.
Ugh.
It'd be like a ham salad or like you could put pickle
Ham
loaf in
salad, that's another one. I love ham salad, and that is objectively gross.
That's the only one I won't do. Chicken
Yeah.
and tuna, I'm good. Ham salad, I'm out. Spam, there was a study where they gave a tribe of like this tribe that would eat people when they died, cannibals. They would eat their own tribesmen. It was still part of their. They took them meats to have them tell the researcher what meat tasted closest to human flesh, and
Oh my gosh.
100% spam. That was the overwhelmingly. It was spam
no.
because there's so much pride, so much fat in the human body. You know, spam is just stored in fat oil, and I'm just like,
Salty
and then like when you're white trash, they try to spruce it up. They fry it. Fried bologna goes through bologna in like a hot skillet, and then it gets a bubble in it. And they're like, there you go, hot dinner. And I'm like, no, that's just a lazy ass dinner, Dad.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Did you ever have anyone in your family make sizzling? Are you very familiar with sizzling?
I'm familiar with the brand.
Yeah.
I just think we probably got the Equate version of sizzling, whatever that was. We couldn't afford the brand name stuff.
It was just like the idea of diet bacon. For some reason, it was supposed to be, but it wasn't like plant based or anything. It was still meat, but it was just supposed to be like bacon with all the fat taken out of it
Yeah.
or something
Was
like
it
that.
like turkey bacon? Because that
No.
was popular for a
No,
little while.
I think the idea was because remember in the 80s they were like fat is bad for you, so they just took the fat out of everything.
Yes.
And so it was like, how about bacon but with no fat? It was gross. So I want to ask you about, you've mentioned a lot of comics. You've mentioned Kyle Kinane. You were mentioning Dave Attell. These people that you've opened up for. What was your first like, I guess, big break, or when was like your first opportunity you got to start like opening and featuring for some of these people?
You know, Helium Comedy Club opened in St. Louis like 6 years ago, ish. And that was a good opportunity. When a new club opens into town, you kind of can avoid it. It's at least at first, it's a little bit of a meritocracy. You can avoid some of those pitfalls that some clubs have where it's like, who's in, who's out, who's hanging, who's buying shots for the manager and booker. There's a lot of like behind the scenes wheeling and dealing going on, right? And I'm sure there's bound to be a club here that's exactly like that. I don't have to name names. It's part of the business. Every city I go to, there's a club where it's like, well, you know, because sometimes I'll be like, why isn't this person working this club? They're hilarious. I was like, they're not here. They don't kick it. They don't hang. The manager doesn't, you know, or you'll see the same person getting booked over and over and over. And it's like, it can be frustrating as a comic because you feel like you're being forced to pay dues that you feel like you've paid. So when Helium opened, it was kind of like, who's funny?
Yeah.
You know, come and prove it on stage. And I won their first funniest person in St. Louis contest, which I know means nothing in the grand scheme of comedy. It's contests are bullshit, but you know, it is a good feather in your cap and it can get you. So that got me like over the hump working the club. And I think I opened for like Alonzo Bowden hosting.
Nice.
And then I just kept working and then they probably gave me an opportunity before I was ready to feature. And, I did okay. You know, you could I stretched it into 20 for like Greg Fitzsimmons or whatever. And then I just kind of started to learn how to feature. And then when you got to do that time and you feel that 5-minute lull when you think you've got 20 and you don't, you know, you get that 5 minutes of bullshit or 10 minutes of bullshit in the middle where you're like, yeah, I got a smattering of laughs, but it's not like you were killing in that 20-minute, which you should kill in that spot because it's the easiest spot, I think, on a show. You don't have a cold audience and you don't have a check drop, you know, and then you take a few years of like killing in that middle slot, then you're probably ready to headline, you know. But I got a couple big opportunities at Helium when I started middling, probably from just like, because it was a new club and because it was kind of a meritocracy at the beginning where it was like, who's funny, who's showing up, who am I seeing coming in with new jokes every week. You know, I got to do Joey Diaz and Dave Attell and some huge comedy audiences, you know, got to see what that felt like to be in an electric room where the tape is amazing, you know. I probably used that Attell tape to get booked for 3 years. Yeah. I just re-upload it to YouTube and make it seem like it was more recent than it, you know what I mean? I'll take it down and I'll re-upload it unlisted as like, oh yeah, this just happened in May, and I'm like, yeah, that was from 2 years ago, dude. But like, I was just, you're killing so hard in these rooms that. So I would say that was my big. And I also, there's a guy named Greg Warren in St. Louis, and Greg should be a household name. The dude is lights out funny, clean comic, unreal. Been working for years on Last Comic Standing years ago, and he will hate that I'm saying this about him. So I'll do it. And he has been like, there are some comics that are only focused on themselves, right? And then there's some that they send the elevator back down. They have that mentality of like, got to help people on the way up. Yeah. You know, instead of like trying to protect.
Yeah.
My weekends.
Yeah.
I don't want you to get better because then I might lose a weekend.
Exactly.
Like, there's people that are like that. They don't give a fuck about anyone. I mean, there are narcissists in this business. It's unfortunate, but it's true. It's not everybody. Yeah. On average, I think everybody's pretty fucking cool. But, you know, it is also like, it's like tennis, you know, it's a one-person sport. And then it breeds that competitive attitude. We were talking about it at brunch. Like, we're bred early on in comedy to feel like there's a pie. And every time someone gets a slice, there's a little less pie. And you just need to figure out that, like, oh, you can go bake another pie. Yeah. Just make your own fucking pie. Yeah. It's harder. You got to learn. You might burn a couple pies. But eventually, there's so many outlets for comedy now. And there's so many venues. And there are a lot more people doing it. But if you work hard and you're good and you're kind to people, which is the best currency in comedy, we talked about that. I think just being a cool person and a good hang. Like, the margin of talent is paper thin. There are a lot of really funny people, and it's all subjective anyway. Like, there's people that are going to love your comedy and hate mine, and vice versa, probably. It just doesn't relate. It just doesn't resonate with them. And Greg is the type of dude that, like, he has given He's vouched, given me opportunities, gives me hard advice, stuff that makes you want to quit comedy every once in a while. You know, getting a hard truth from somebody that's a really good joke writer about where you're fat. You know, like, hey, man, that bit's good, but it's a little fat. A little fat in the middle. Need something to either cut it or punch it up, you know? And it's like, that's my best bit. And he's like, well, what's that tell you?
Yeah.
What's that tell
If that's
you?
your best bit and it's fat,
Yeah.
right tighter, you know? And it's like, all right, man, whatever, dude, fuck you. But then it's like, then he murders, you know? And I'm like, truth is on stage, dude.
Yeah.
So he's been huge influence on me and really helpful in my career. He's vouched for me. You know, he introduced me to my album label.
Nice.
He's vouched for me at like big chain clubs and stuff like that I probably wouldn't have gotten into if he at least got my foot in the door. I had to go audition and like get past, but he was like, I think he's good. I think he's ready. So, you know, as much as we like to pretend like this is like hustle and grind, dude, I make mine. It's like, yeah, you probably had help. We probably all had help along the way with somebody.
It's always that mix, and I think that's the thing I don't know if people always don't talk about or reflect on is like you have to be able to back up whatever, but that foot in the door can be make or break sometimes.
Yeah,
and this is like you can't open the door and then have nothing to back it up.
No, it's on you. That's what I'm saying. Like it is on you to deliver the goods.
Yeah.
When called upon.
But getting teed up for those opportunities.
Yeah, sometimes you need a little help to present the goods to the client, give or take, you know?
Yeah.
So he's been good to me. Kanane's good to me, man. He's the type of dude, another dude that like isn't greedy with opportunity and success. I'll get wild emails that I don't even know he recorded me for stuff. You know, somebody be like, hey, we're doing this. I was like a Northern Indiana thing. I think Terhune ended up doing it, but it was like, I just got an email to like headline some festival they do in like Northern Indiana. And the guy's like, Kanane says you're the guy. You know, it was a big payday. For me, it was like $5,000 to do one show or something. It was a crazy number that for me is a lot of money.
Yeah.
To them, that may not be a lot, but for me, that's a lot of fucking money.
And it's throwing $5,000.
Yeah. And just like, he didn't even call me and tell me. He's just like, he's not even trying to like take credit for it. I wouldn't even known he recorded me for it if the guy didn't tell me. He's like, just for full disclosure, we asked Kanane and he said, you're the guy. He said, you'll come crush it. And I'm like, dude, that's huge. When people like that vouch for you, that is huge.
I love it. And I love the concept of send the elevator back down. Like that's.
Yeah, man. And I always say, and we'll see, I might be a huge prick if I ever make it. But I always say, like, remember these moments, right? Remember what it was. Because have you ever worked with a headliner who's so detached from what it's like to be us?
Yes.
That they say shit that you're just like, what? You've been famous too long.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't even remember the struggle of, like, what a middle comic's life is like.
Yeah.
You know? And it's not even on them. Like, I like them. Like, I worked with John Lovitz one time, and he had, like, his service dog in the green room.
Oh,
It's like a little
stories.
puggle.
I've heard
He's a great guy.
story, yeah.
I love Jerry, love the fucking dog.
Yeah.
Wears a little bow tie, cute-ass dog. And I'm like, I have a puggle too, man. And he's like, well, why don't you bring him on the road with you? And I'm like, well, I'm a middling feature, man. And he goes, it's great to have a service dog. It's a company on the road, and the airplanes let them fly for free. And I'm like, I'm sleeping on someone's couch, dude.
Yeah, we good.
I can't. It's hard enough to get a comic to be like, hey, do you mind if I totally invade your space for 3 days and snore and fart all over your couch?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm bringing my puggle. But they're so far removed in their fame that, like, they don't even remember what it's like.
Yeah.
And those guys aren't like that. Those guys stayed grounded in the struggle, and they help people.
They send the elevator back down. I love it.
That should be a title of a book.
Rafe Williams, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We could talk to you for another 3 hours.
Can I ask a question before you cut?
Yeah.
What's up with Michael Landon?
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Here we go.
So Michael Landon is
a huge star, a wonderful
huge
man.
Star. He got 2 hit shows.
Huge.
Little House on the Prairie.
Highway to Heaven, dude.
Highway to Heaven. I was a Highway to Heaven kid, you know? Like, I grew up with that. And when I was a kid, I was a bedwetter.
Okay.
And I was always told that Michael Landon suffered as a childhood bedwetter.
Okay.
And he, apparently, there's a pretty famous story about he got fast enough to do track and field because his mom would hang his pissy sheets on the clothesline, and so he would like get out of school and run home to beat the bus so his friends and peers wouldn't see the pissy sheets.
I feel like I've seen this in a movie.
It might have been. But I was told this as a child, and so I bring this story up, and we're Googling. If you Google famous bedwetters, Michael Landon is at the top of the list of the world's most famous.
He's
bedwetter.
number 1.
You know number 2 and number 3?
Of course he does.
Pissers?
Famous bedwetters, yeah.
I'm sorry, did I
Yeah, we don't use that word.
We don't use a hard P in here. We don't use that slur in here. Yeah.
Sorry, man. I grew up in the '90s, dude. I grew up in the '90s. That was a hard P. My bad. No, who are the other two? Wait, let me guess.
Okay, one of them. I'll give you a hint.
Are they pretty famous?
One of them, yeah, both. One of them's a president.
All right.
Of the United States, and one of them was on Three's Company.
I will say, I'm gonna go John Ritter.
Susan Sarandon. Not Susan Sarandon.
Susan Summers.
Susan Summers.
That thigh master, dude.
Suzanne
she blew her.
Summers.
That thigh master strengthened her clit up. It strengthened her piss hole up. That's why she used it.
Okay.
She got all strong.
Never thought of that.
She's holding that piss in. Now I know why that was so important to her.
Yeah.
All right, and then give me a hint. How, like, old president, newer president? You don't have to go crazy.
Not in our lifetime, president.
I'm gonna say FDR.
LBJ.
Very close.
LBJ. We had that huge cock.
Yeah.
So it's probably hard to hold pee in there with the gravity and everything.
Oh, the gravity.
Now, where's Sarah Silverman in there?
She was like top 5.
Norman's was a bedwetter.
Yeah.
Mark Norman talks about it.
Oh, was he?
He still is.
Yeah, he had a good joke about it where he's like, went to a sleepover and he's like making up an excuse or something. He's like, why is this bed all wet? And he goes, I must have spilled a cup of piss. You know, like, kind of hard to do.
I used to sleepwalk pee.
Yeah?
My friend's brother did that, dude.
Yeah.
The walk-in pee?
He would just get up and piss all over the curtains and go back to bed. He wouldn't piss in the bathroom. He'd just like, and he wouldn't pee on himself. He'd pee on something. And go, were you a pee on her?
Yeah, like there would be a chair and I'd wake up and there'd be like white powder on the chair. I'm like, whoa, what happened? And they were like, oh, yeah, he just got up and
did a bunch of coke.
Did coke and then
you pissed all over our coke.
everywhere. Coke's ruined.
Can you drop a beat for me there, Zach? Rafe Williams, thank you so much, honestly, for coming and podcasting with us. You've been great today.
Awesome.
Where can people find you and follow you on social media?
You can find me at I am Rafe Williams on all social media because one asshole won't give me my name on Twitter, even though his only tweet is a tweet that says test. Remember when Twitter had an egg?
Oh, yeah.
He still has an egg as a fucking picture, and it says test, and his name is Rafe Williams, and I
offer him $150.
I offered him money, dude, and he follows me on everything, and he follows my comedy. He's like, I love your comedy, and every time I mention it, he just like big dogs me and doesn't acknowledge that I asked for the handle. It's so crazy.
If that's the only thing I had to connect me to like somebody that I followed, I'd probably hold on to it.
He's holding on. Maybe he's hoping I'd make it, and then he can get some real money out of me.
Yeah, it's a money thing.
But I am Rafe Williams on Instagram, TikTok, anything that you probably use, and it helps, man. So I appreciate it. Like, follow me on that shit. It helps. It's part of the biz now.
Zach Rohn
at Zach_Rohn on all social media.
Daddy's Jay McKee.
At Thad McKee, and I'm working on a book called Send the Elevator Down. It was an idea I got on the podcast, and I've just been working on it. So
nice. I'm at Dyke Michaels on all social media. Were you guys ever wondering where you should get Harder Brunch shirts? You guys ever think about that?
All the time.
Yeah, I get that question a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, the answer is harderbrunch.com. We have a website, and we got merch live for sale, so go check it out. You want to get some merch sent to your house? It'll get there. Harder Brunch. It'll get there. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Later.